been coffeetized, blackularized, and superflied. You've been macked, hammered, slaughtered, and shafted. And now we're gonna turn you on to some brand new jive. You're gonna be glorified, unified, and filled with pride when you see 5 on the black hand side.
Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud.
Oh, talk that talk, John Henry.
Controlling women is an art.
I am leaving, Mr. Brooks.
But where you planning on going? To the zoo?
Gonna put down that spear?
Can a buffalo skate?
What?
I might not be the baddest man in the world, but I'm in the top 2, and my father is getting old.
From United Artists, rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
Man, welcome to the next episode of Rollin with DAARAC. It's just episode 3, fellas. We showing consistency. Yeah, we showing consistency. I think that's the first step to success. It's a consistency, doing the things that you say that you're just going to do over and over until something happens. So we're here for episode 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, we back, and we got some good things lined up for this podcast.
What we got for this podcast?
Well, we're going to announce the winner of the Black Sister Tournament.
Yeah.
And see who won that. And then we got some discussions we want to have on the winner of that film, along with a conversation about colorism and tragic mulatto films, or the I Pass for White films. And so these should present some very good conversations and for the day. But remember to come through and see us at the website, DAARAC.NGO, DAARAC.NGO. And in the last few times, the last couple of podcasts, I did not read off the mission statement of why our organization even exists. So I kind of want to read this off real quick. The mission of the Department of Afro-American Research, Arts, and Culture is to identify the global significance of the creative contributions pioneered by an international diaspora of blackness.
Yeah.
Take 2. Blackness is a through
have
art.
To read that. You got to read that again, because
you sounded like a performing poet. Different blackness.
And then I went out.
In my mind, every day I wake up and go to sleep with blackness. That's how you started.
Right, you got to read it again. You dropped out.
The mission of the Department of Afro-American Research, Arts, and Culture is to identify the global significance of the creative contributions pioneered by an international diaspora of blackness. Blackness is a psychological and physical imprint of being, living, and learning. DAARAC serves as an educational pinpoint of reference to assist the proud narrative of the black experience worldwide in literature, film, photographs, memorabilia, and various forms of performance arts. Through art, an audience gains perspective and understanding of the intentions and purpose of the artist. DAARAC aims to pave the shattered grounds broken by an undying embodiment of culture and consciousness of people who shaped history while others tirelessly work to bury that history. DAARAC redefines a lineage of heroic accomplishments, highlighting an anthology of styles through expression of impetuous power and passages of glory and grace. In this universal lens, we allow future generations to select new positions to fill by unearthing an endangered archive of beautiful art. So
I got 3 things to say about that mission statement.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell it.
First, nigga, you put impetuous in that shit. Holy
right.
No, Juan put impetuous in that shit.
Of course. Thank you.
He's the wordsmith.
Now, what's the next statement? because I got a statement
Okay,
after you.
I'll leave it at 2. Nigga, when you read it, the only time you felt you had some energies when you said black and blackness. That's how I know you love your nigga. You be like,
CB4.
Impetuous blackness.
CB4. That's some CB4 shit.
Because I'm blacker than black and I'm black, y'all. I'm blacker than black. Bliggity, bliggity, black.
And the next thing, the comment I have is, we'll see y'all next week for episode 4 because we ain't got no more time left. That's the longest motherfucking mission statement in the history of nonprofit foundations. Right
Hey, man, I was sitting there reading that and I was like, you know what? It don't look as long as it's sounding right now.
It's like when you decide to walk to the corner store instead of drive, you be like, God damn, motherfucker, this is this long, nigga. Try to ride your bike instead of getting the car, nigga. You be like, oh, this is all the way uphill, nigga. What the fuck?
All the way.
Yeah, so yeah, that's that mission statement right there. That's what we represent, and you know, I guess you can't really put how we preserve and respect our culture in about 5 sentences, man. It's got to be about 3 paragraphs. You know, I was tracking some storms last Thursday, and we had 2 tornadoes that touched down in Greensboro. And I was thinking about how we need a very stereotypical but knowledgeable weatherman. And we can call him Brother Weatherman. And that nigga could be me. I mean, have all the stereotype. You know what I mean? Just like I am right now. Hair just the way that it is. I'm going to have some black shirt on. And I'm going to be informal as hell.
Right. Nigga, it's hot.
And it's hot over here. So I thought about rolling.
Y'all who don't think you're too black don't get out in the sun. You know, all that shit. We got them out here.
Today is the day is for you to get darker, not lighter.
Right.
Not lighter.
So an interesting thing on the Facebook is that we've been holding the Black Sistery Tournament. And, you know, that is for films dedicated to black women. And we're nearing the end with the championship round, which happened to be The Color Purple versus Foxy Brown. And The Color Purple knocked out Claudine by 10 votes. And Foxy Brown knocked out What's Love Got to Do With It by 10 votes. But all 4 of those films are magnificent and important in black film cinema. Now, it looks like that The Color Purple is going to win this because they're up clearly on Foxy Brown by, you know, a couple of hundred votes. But it kind of goes to show how, or the impact that The Color Purple had on just black people in general. You know, because I remember seeing it, and, you know, but when I first saw it, I was a young cat. So there's a lot of it that I didn't understand, but I did see a lot of familiar faces in there. You know, of course, Whoopi Goldberg, Oprah Winfrey, Danny Glover, Adolph Caesar, and so forth. So it hit a certain way when I first saw it, but of course now it's as an older individual, there's a lot more of those stories or that movie that kind of sticks out to me that I didn't really notice before, especially when it comes to the relationship that black men and black women had with each other. And so I noticed there was a lot of individuals, mostly from black men, that did not like this film at all. You know, regardless of the placement that it has in black film history, they do see The Color Purple as a film that attacks the image of black men. And then there are those that see the movie as just telling a really good story. So I kind of wanted to get y'all's perspective on one of the reasons why you think the film has such a place in history, and then I want to get Juan's perspective on something else about it as well.
Well, I like talking about it from a literature perspective in the sense that there's some of it that's left out. Like there's open non-monogamy, and it runs from the United States to also Africa, which I think is cool. Parts of it, connects the slave trade to. I like the cinematography of it. There's part of it that I don't know if this is Juan's. We haven't discussed it. We didn't have the chance to, but there's very few redeeming male characters, that are there. I mean, I know that motherfuckers out here beating women too, like
right.
You know what I mean? But I guess the male character in some way redeems him. Mr. redeems himself by the end, and in the movie, truly, they end up having much more of a cordial relationship. Actually, Whoopi's character Celie and Suge and Mr. Are basically living in a home together, if I remember the novel correctly. But it's I don't know. I don't mind all stories. We talked about it last episode. Like it's hard to see the diaspora of or the diversity of all of us and what black men can be and black people can be in general. But you do get tired of the mean black man who's fucking just angry because he's angry at the fucking world. He decides to beat on his woman.
Right. Right. Or there's some level, or even then having some level of patriarchy in the movie, because it did take place in a certain time where women's rights was different for sure in this aspect. But Juan, please, as a gentleman of the arts and a person that has studied film, literature, please explain to us why this is a film that you have not seen and why you haven't seen it.
Preacher man, you better dig yourself a hole. The devil's on your back, he's gonna catch your soul.
How much time we got on this episode now? Oh, man. When did it come out? 86?
I think it was like 84, 85, somewhere around there. It was in the mid-80s.
Okay. So I was a young buck back in the day. My mother did not. I think she watched it. She went to the theater, and she didn't like it. So she didn't present it to me as it wasn't required viewing for me to check that out. And when I became a man, once I grew up, it was there on the videotape shelves at the stores and everything, and I've always walked past it, Even one of the brothers that's in there, named Willard Pugh, was a good friend of my pops, and he would come and stay at the house. I don't know what character he played, but I think he was getting whooped on or beat up on or something. He was the real submissive cat. I forgot what his character was, but
Oprah punch, is that the dude who Oprah punched in the eye?
Harpo,
yeah, that's it. That's
the dude I was imitating.
Yeah. Okay,
no mute until the eye.
Okay, yeah.
So
yeah, Willard is family. So I grew up with Willard Pugh. Right, exactly. So all this is my way of trying to deflect from the truth that I didn't fuck with the movie. I couldn't. I've already heard what it was about. I didn't read Alice Walker's novel. We read Soul on Ice, right? Mm-hmm. And we read about the super masculine menial. Well, some of us may be overly dominant in the house and then submissive in society. And then when it comes to depictions of black masculinity in film, I take all that real personal. So I have always stayed away from The Color Purple because I didn't want to think differently of any other brothers that were in it, like Willard.
This is
like
funny
Danny
though.
Glover, Danny Glover last year at the Pan African Film Festival was right behind me eating on some popcorn for the premiere of The Last Black Man in San Francisco. And I turned around and I looked at the OG like, man, he's walking history. You know, everything that I've seen, that I've grown up and watched him. Now, I would have had a different mentality maybe if I had seen Color Purple. I don't know.
Right. Nah, it's funny, man, because when you speak of that, movies like The Color Purple, What's Love Got to Do with It, and the Jacksons movie. This is the first time that I've seen Danny Glover, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, and Lawrence Fishburne in a movie, and these guys played very aggressive and abusive roles. And so this was the first image and impact that I see these guys have on film, and of course it has me feeling a certain way. Watching these dudes, abusing and beating tail pretty much throughout the film, and these weren't short films neither. These were long movies.
Right.
And all of them have a place in history as far as the stories or the stories that was told. Now, I don't know exactly to the extent of how abusive these guys were, because in Hollywood things tend to be a little bit exaggerated anyway. But this is where I first seen these guys, and so I can understand that having an impact on the perception that you may have on them as actors and artists.
Eat dirt, sucker. Black hell breaks loose. Are you ready for the Black Street Fighter? The Black Street Fighter. He's a fighter for hire, and he's paid to take on all comers. Today, he's going right to the top. He's taking on the system. The Black Street Fighter. He's all white-hot fury. He's all stone-cold nerve. He's all big black fists. He's 60,000 volts of black power. The Black Street Fighter. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent. The Black Street Fighter. He's bad.
It's surely an interesting thing, the magic of what we create, in novels and books and poetry and things like that. That stuff is magic because we even forget that the person is outside of that character or they're part of that character plus much more, We got motherfuckers out here upset about Bill Cosby and shit, man. And I was like, yo, man, why, I don't think he did all that. And I'm like, why not? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because he, Dr. Huxtable on the fucking Cosby show, man. Like that.
Right.
That dude is has a full life. He's done good and bad, like we all have. You know what I mean, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I ain't seen Color Purple. All right.
Right. I
ain't having no discuss. There's no. I can have no discourse with the brothers on that at all. I don't know shit about The Color Purple, other than there's a line in the poem, and we'll get to the poem later. But yeah, I referenced The Color Purple in a poem that I wrote about black women. But no, I didn't see the movie. Definitely.
Well, yeah. Well, it brings up an interesting point that Dr. T had said. The how we view these individuals to be, a stand-up, almost a perfect type of human being, like they can do no wrong. And I remember Dr. T and I had plenty of discussions on what he calls, and I give him 100% credit because it made sense to me, the Cosby effect. And I was like, what's the Cosby effect? And then it's pretty much the idea of an individual who portrays himself to be this good person and whatnot, and that they can't do wrong on the other end. And when they do wrong, it's a big shock to everybody because we view them as an outstanding individual while taking the humanity out of it. But if it was somebody like Richard Pryor that did some stuff, you'd be like, man, that's Richard Pryor, man. You almost expect him to do that shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so we have a tendency to treat Richard Pryor more like a human being by accepting him, who he is as a person, including the flaws that he had. You know, he had his struggles and he wasn't shy about it. But an individual like Bill Cosby that's, you know, was convicted for drugging and raping women, and all of a sudden that comes out, we're like, oh my gosh, not Huxtable, not Dr. Huxtable. Right. He could never do a single thing like that. He must have been trying to buy NBC if they came after him that way.
Right. But for me, and when we bring it to real life, I don't trust any. If I say to you, and Dr. Spinks, I know Spinks, you have seen me. If I come up to somebody and say, yo, you staying out of trouble? And the person says, always, I don't trust your ass immediately. Like, motherfucker, nobody stays out of trouble all the time. Fuck that. You out here hiding something already. You know what I mean? You start off hiding something. Or if you start talking about how you're a good person, you know how many ministers and how many people in our society, the ones who talk the best about themselves, especially if they have the audacity to then start talking about the community. And that, you know, before Bill said whatever, man, he was talking about, you know, how poor people raising their kids and how, you know, about hip hop and stuff like that. And I was like, yo, man, Bill's up to something, man. And sure enough, he started coming out. Start talking about, you know, fed us a Cosby kid. Hey, but Albert, like that shit was, you know what I mean? Like, oh, come on, man. Like, I don't want to jump subjects and shit, man. But why is Rudy the only one who had clean clothes in that shit, man? He had an electric guitar. Everybody else was playing junk. You know what I mean? I don't want to go there with it, but motherfucker was playing a fucking Radiator, and that nigga had an electric guitar. How the fuck did that happen, man?
Right. That is hilarious, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I messed that up, man. That just crossed my mind.
But yeah, man, the Color Purple definitely presented some real life topics that, you know, was brought to the forefront, and those conversations still go on today. But Foxy Brown had a different impact than the Color Purple. Completely different movie. Actually, these two movies are not even really comparable at all. But that's how tournaments work. Sometimes matchups that you get doesn't necessarily go into mesh well together. But Foxy Brown was more of a film of a very strong action hero, you know. But even then, she wasn't absolved from some of the stuff that women faced during those times as well, that she was abused in that part of a film when she came back and got revenge. And even in her movie Coffee, where she played the role of getting revenge on dealers and pushers that abused and drugged and killed, caused her, her sister, to get killed. So, you know, but she still had to deal with certain things that women went through in filmmaking during the 70s. But Foxy had a much different impact than the Color Purple. Can y'all speak to your experience on how it was when Pam Grier was at the peak of her popularity in the 70s?
They call her Coffee, because if you jive her, she'll cream you.
This is the end of your rotten life.
Coffee, the baddest one-chick hit squad that ever hit town.
All your friends are dead. Why kill them all?
Coffee. She's got a body men would die for. And lately, a lot of them have. Coffee's black. Coffee's hot. And sometimes as sweet as sugar.
I know what you want to, and you're gonna get it.
Coffee. Always where the action is. A mean kind of super chick who don't take nothing off of nobody.
You want me to crawl? You want to spit on me and make me crawl?
See Coffee. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without a parent. Look out, Harlem. Here comes Coffee. The godmother of them all.
You could go on. It doesn't matter, man, but I love the image of the strong. beautiful black woman. So I'm not that part. I'm in love with. That's who I want my daughters to be. I have 2 girls. Is that when my oldest daughter went to college, I gave both of my daughters keychains that had knives in the motherfucker. I remember when I dawned on me that when I go on a date or something like that, I'm never thinking that I'm in danger for my life or what have you. I never go out on a date, thinking, oh man, damn, this might be, this woman might just fucking, rip my pants off and shit like that, man. So Pam Grier's character brought so much strength, and that's why when we started talking about blaxploitation film in the first place, man, I like that. I like that we had characters that could say, oh, fuck you, fuck this, the anti-hero. Pam Grier was a good anti-hero, and she was beautiful, and that was important to me, at least as a young person, checking that sort of stuff out, to see her be strong. And I know Juan and I talked about that. In many ways, remind me of my mom. My mom was very strong. So I liked that. Celie eventually gets strength in the movie, but that movie, I guess why it's so long is because there's an evolution of people. You see people evolve.
Yeah, it is a story of evolving. That's correct. Yeah, Juan, how did Foxy impact you as a youth and growing up?
Well, first I got to get out of my head Anne-Marie Johnson and I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. Where she's taking her wig off and her prosthetic leg and saying, don't make me hop after you. I don't know why that's in my head. I was thinking of Foxy Brown when she took the razor blade out the wig.
Right.
And I said, we try to have some intelligent discourse in here, and then Anne-Marie Johnson just keeps flashing in my head. Like, how do I come back from that? Can I change the subject? Can I reel back in for a minute? Pam Grier, her characters, and Friday Foster.
Never fear, Pam Grier is here.
A black goddess come to earth.
Pam Grier is Friday Foster, and she's running with a heavy crowd. Yaphet Kotto, Eartha Kitt, Godfrey Cambridge, Jim Backus, Almus Rasulala, Ted Lange, and Scatman Crothers in Friday Foster. Friday. When some big money dudes in the Capitol got too hungry for power, Friday made their plans turn sour.
Happy New Year, boss.
She's a super sister who's gonna hit D.C. like a beautiful stick of TNT.
Look out!
When this fox shakes her tail, half of Washington may end up in jail.
Lord have mercy!
Her name is Friday, but you can dig her any day of the week. Pam Grier is Friday Foster. Rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
Seeing her in Bucktown, and I'm not going to say anything deep that any brother, any young man that grew up in the 70s would not say. Her character was power. She had like this wholesome, sexy, dangerous hybrid. She's 5'10", 5'11", the prototype black female empowerment, the aura that she presented on film. Yes, she was fine. She was beautiful. She was chocolate. It was everything. I wanted to have a woman that evoked those qualities. That's something that's really, really important for a young black child, and seeing the images that blaxploitation had given us. And for me, I was a beneficiary of that black excellence and female empowerment. My mother was prototypical of that. Tamara Dobson, Pam Grier, Diana Sands, we can go down the line, but Pam Grier she's the apex. She's the zenith, the flagship of black female empowerment. So Foxy Brown, that's why it's so popular, because men, women, and child, 8 to 80, dumb, crippled, and crazy, they all messing with Pam during that time.
There was a real mean killing, and the wrong guy died. They buried his body, but his soul survived for J.D.'s revenge.
Maybe something is happening to me. I blacked out.
The reincarnation of a killer who came back from the dead.
J.D. Walker's been dead for over 30 years.
possess a man's soul,
He turned into this monster.
make love to his woman,
Scared of your daddy.
and get the vengeance he craved.
They are my enemies.
Glenn Turman, the star of Cooley High, Lou Gossett, Joan Pringle. 40 years later, on someone else's face, you can see J.D. Walker's hatred time just won't erase. J.D.'s Revenge.
I'll have my revenge.
J.D.'s Revenge. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent.
What's interesting about that, man, is like you talk about that dichotomy she had about being, almost like the girl next door in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like Thelma from Good Times in some ways, but she had a certain type of strength,
Right.
That reminds you of your mama and that sort of stuff. So when you talk about The Color Purple, what I always find interesting is that when we talk about patriarchy within the African American community or people of color, or however you want to go down with it, is that as far as I'm concerned, we've always had images of woman's strength, like from Harriet Tubman all the way, to modern times. Many of our movies has a big mama in it, right? Where the female character is holding things together.
Right.
Like even Raising the Sun. We keep making that image, while I felt anyway that other cultures did not have that image like we did. So
Right.
It's so interesting when we start talking about patriarchy and things of that nature. I certainly know that there are dudes out here abusive, and I even went to college with one dude, man, and I found out he had done some things to female. After he went to jail, I found out he had done stuff to people I knew at a historically black college, and I was like, damn, surprised by all that sort of stuff. I grew up on female characters, not only in the movies, but in real life, that showed strength, leadership, resiliency, all this sort of stuff, as opposed to, from what I have understood, other cultures say about their women. Not all other cultures, but I can only speak
I think
personally about African American culture.
I think in this particular area of the arts of filmmaking, there were no black females that sought revenge. They didn't have a vengeance behind some of their intentions. The strength that was portrayed in a lot of the early Hollywood films, of course, is Big Mama holding things together, or holding a chaotic environment down, where there's a certain level of stress upon them. And even when you start getting into some of the movies that Dorothy Dandridge played in, they were still very, very homely roles. There was no violent or vengeful intentions behind her characters. And then when you get into the 60s with movies like Racing to the Sun and Nothing But a Man, again, showing strength a certain way. But all of a sudden, you start getting into the 70s, and then you have action heroes like Pam Grier and Tamara Dobson as Cleopatra, Jeannie Bell as TNT Jackson that knows martial arts. And you was like, oh, wait a minute now. Like, we're not used to seeing this. These are women that actually is coming to kick your ass.
Gloria Hendry, Trina Parks.
Right.
Roseanne
And Live and Let Die. I think in Live and Let Die, Gloria Hendry was of course the Black Bond girl, if that's how you want to label it. But she was also an ass kicker, especially in Black Belt Jones.
Yeah.
It wasn't Live and Let Die though, was it? No, she played. I forgot what she played in, but it wasn't Live and Let Die. Anyway, or was it?
It was, I think.
It was. I think it was.
Live and Let Die was Yaphet Kotto, right?
Yeah.
May he rest. He just
he just passed away. Yeah.
I think but that was Yaphet.
Yeah. Yaphet just passed away. I remember him well in across 110th Street and Blue Collar with Harvey Keitel and Richard Pryor, which is still a great and in my opinion relevant film today, and whatnot. So yeah, rest in peace to Yaphet Kotto.
Okay, well that's a beautiful thing. Well, JD, This was a great episode, man. Is there anything you'd like to say to close us out for this episode?
Man, no.
As usual, we close out. We'll see y'all in a couple weeks, and that's it.